Welcome to my channel. Here's today's eerie story. The first sensation upon stepping off the plane was the heat, dry, unrelenting, and pressing against my skin like a heavy hand. The Marrakesh airport bustled with life, but there was something curiously muted about it. Travelers shuffled by, their eyes fixed on their destinations. Merchants murmured in Arabic, their voices blending into the hum of the crowd. They offered small cups of mint tea, the fragrant steam curling into the air. Trinkets lay displayed on their carts, but I had no intention of buying any. I had arranged for a car to take me as far as Merzouga, the last known town before the desert swallowed the road. The driver, a wiry man with a cigarette dangling perpetually from his lips, introduced himself as Khalid. He had a scar along his left cheek, which he never spoke about. He never asked questions either. We departed as the sky turned amber. The sun cast long, stretching shadows over the ochre-colored buildings. The road wound endlessly through the Atlas Mountains. Occasionally, I caught glimpses of distant Kasbahs, ancient fortresses that stood like watchful sentinels over the barren land. As the miles passed, the landscape shifted from rugged cliffs to endless dunes. The golden sands shimmered under the fading light. Occasionally, I saw caravans of camels led by men in deep indigo robes. Their slow and steady movements were a stark contrast to our swift journey. By the time we reached Merzouga, night had already begun its slow descent. Khalid dropped me off at a small, inconspicuous inn, its wooden sign half-worn by time. The name was barely legible, Dar al-Layl, the House of the Night. The air inside carried the aroma of saffron, slow-roasted lamb, and something faintly metallic. The walls were adorned with woven Berber tapestries, intricate patterns spiraling into strange geometric shapes. The woman at the counter, an elderly lady wrapped in deep blue robes, handed me a small brass key with an eye engraved on it. Her face was expressionless, as unyielding as stone. Deep lines etched her face, each wrinkle a testament to time and the unforgiving sun. A silver chain peeked from beneath her robes, glinting briefly as she moved. Before retiring to my room, I sat at a dimly lit table, observing the other patrons. Most were travelers. A few locals huddled in hushed conversation. A stew of tender lamb and prunes, richly spiced with cumin and cinnamon, was placed before me, alongside a bowl of harira, a thick soup of tomatoes and chickpeas. I loved it so much that I later asked the chef for the recipe and jotted it down. Perhaps it was a ridiculous notion, given the true purpose of my visit, but I found comfort in routine. As I was eating, Khalid reappeared at my table. He leaned in and whispered, "Do not leave your window open tonight." He left without another word. That night, the room was stiflingly warm despite the desert air outside. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The carved wooden beams formed shapes my mind twisted into unfamiliar patterns. Somewhere in the distance, a hawk screeched, a sharp, eerie cry that cut through the night. Or perhaps it was something else. Dawn arrived with the scent of freshly baked cobs and the distant murmur of prayer calls. In the courtyard, a group of men wrapped in dark turbans sat in a circle. Their voices were low, their expressions serious. I passed them, catching snippets of conversation, something about a missing traveler. They fell silent when they saw me. Khalid was already waiting by the car. "Ready?" he asked. It was more of a warning than a question. We set off into the desert, leaving the town behind like a fleeting mirage. The asphalt gave way to a dirt track, which soon crumbled into nothing but sand. At the town's edge, Khalid arranged for 3 camels, tall, silent creatures with dark, knowing eyes. Their long lashes blinked lazily, indifferent to the journey ahead, as if they had seen countless travelers come and go. The desert had a strange rhythm of its own, a beauty that crept in slowly, almost unnoticed. The dunes rose and fell like frozen waves, their golden crests glowing under the sun. Occasionally, we passed small clusters of date palms. Their fronds swayed lazily in the hot breeze. The heat shimmered on the horizon, making the distance seem fluid, unreal. As night fell, the true spectacle of the Sahara revealed itself. With no city lights to compete with, the sky became a vast, unbroken canvas of stars. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a river of light. The moon, full and bright, cast silver shadows upon the dunes. The air had turned crisp, almost biting. The silence was so profound it felt sacred. We made camp near a small oasis. A lone acacia tree stood watch over the water. Khalid brewed tea over a small fire, the scent of mint rising with the steam. "They say the desert never forgets," he murmured, staring into the flames. "It holds on to things that should have been lost." I listened, letting his words settle in. For the first time since my journey began, I wondered if I had come seeking more than just a story. Perhaps the desert had already started whispering to me. Perhaps I just hadn't learned how to listen yet. Later that night, Khalid led me further into the dunes. The wind had died down, and the silence felt heavier. He handed me a small vial filled with a dark, thick liquid. "Camel's blood," he said. "You must draw the circle yourself." I hesitated but did as he instructed, kneeling in the sand, tracing the symbol he had carved into the earth earlier. The air grew colder as I worked. Khalid began to chant in a language I didn't recognize. The stars overhead pulsed in rhythm with his whispered words. The air around us felt heavier, thick with something unseen. I remained kneeling, fingers still coated in sand from drawing the circle. Minutes passed. Nothing. My eyes ached from staring into the darkness. I blinked, sighed, then lowered my head, just for a moment. But when I opened my eyes again, something had changed. A shadow loomed at the edge of my vision, just past my right shoulder. It wasn't a shape, not entirely. It was more like a distortion, like the space itself had folded inward, forming a presence darker than the night. It stood just beyond my sight line, yet I could feel it watching me. The vision jerked, as if flickering between existence and nothingness, shifting, stretching, unfurling. It was taller than me, taller than Khalid, yet somehow weightless. Not a specter, not a beast, but something between. My breath turned shallow. The fire behind me sputtered. Khalid's voice wavered. "Ask your question." I swallowed against the dryness in my throat. The words clawed their way up, almost choking me as I whispered, "What price does the desert demand for its secrets?" For a long moment, there was silence. Then, a voice, rasping, hollow, deep and layered, filled the space around me. "A diamond ring." The world tilted. The breath left my lungs. My pulse pounded in my ears. The words shouldn't have meant anything, but they did. My fingers curled into the sand, trying to ground myself against the weight of something far heavier than fear. A diamond ring. I felt sick. No one should have known. No one. Years ago, in the damp, rain-slicked cemetery of my hometown in Scotland, I had done something unspeakable. My mother had passed, buried with the only piece of jewelry she owned, an heirloom, a diamond ring. I had been a spoiled man back then, burning through my family's fortune, drowning in debts I couldn't repay. And so, in desperation, one night, I had gone to her grave. I pried open the coffin. The scent of damp earth and decay had filled my lungs. The ring had been stuck, her finger swollen around it, refusing to part with the last thing she had left behind. In the end, I had taken my pocket knife and severed it. A part of me had died that night too. And now, standing in the vast emptiness of the desert, thousands of miles from that grave, the Jinn had spoken my sin back to me. The vision twisted. The stars warped. My head pounded as my sight narrowed, shrinking into a single flickering point of light. And then blackness. I woke up near the oasis. The fire had burned out. The embers lay scattered, cold. My mouth was filled with the taste of dust. I pushed myself up slowly. "Khalid," I called out. No answer. I turned, scanning the surroundings. There was no one. No Khalid. No camels. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, rippling dunes and endless sky. I stood up. My head spun. My heart pounded. There was no sign of where we had come from, no tracks in the sand. No road back. Just me and the desert. And somewhere, far beyond the dunes, something laughed. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe. And remember, darkness is never far away. Until next time,